All I know, since we've been approaching this area, is there's some voices that have been talking to me in here. I don't know if they're fae or what, but I think it has to do with this morning at the house, though. What took place there? I didn't say this when we left, but there were a couple of bat people by the house. You know, those big creatures that the Sasquatch warned about.
You didn't think they were the ones that the disappointment was coming off of, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I believe.
That's a shame.
Heard this morning. What was going on was there was a problem with a gas meter outside, and heavy smell of gas. There was a leak, and it was fixed. But the fact that it was fixed was angering something. Buildup of anger in the house, and there has been some off energy in the house for a bit now. But I did not realize that there were two bat people. They're full-size ones, not the little ones. These were full-size with the white patches on the face, like the ones we saw in Sedona the last time we were out here. That they were confined to a certain territory or line or area. And they're not supposed to go wandering into people's houses like that. And I believe last time the forest people were actually warning us in a nonchalant kind of way. You know, take a look. The same thing with the line I used on the filming we did. I believe it was yesterday, where I was comparing something to a gas line, and with the smell being added to the gas line, we were talking about the hollow feeling. Well, these creatures were actually causing the very hollow feeling that the forest people were warning us about. I mean, there were other beings there the day we were filming that other film, but the hollow feeling was still persisting. And then when we took care of the gas, whatever they had planned for the gas meter, I don't know. They may have caused the damage, they may not have, and caused somebody else to do it. Who knows? But they were very angry as a result of it being repaired. And once
and again,
they were
the repair, it wasn't in the house. It was at the a line area that is a part of the company's metering system that's probably about 15 feet from the house. Mm-hmm. I'd say where their meter is.
Yeah.
So it was just happened to be going outside, and there was a very, very strong odor that was noticed, and then they were called and came out, and yes, there was a issue that needed to be fixed. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of it. No true high drama. Don't want anyone to think that. None of that happened. No fire, no nothing. But it was recognition of, wow, that really is strong. We better call somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and they did find some damage. It was not really hardly anything, but it was enough to produce that smell.
No, and they had to fix it. And they certainly had to fix it. There was a genuine leak that they had to fix.
Mm-hmm. But the fact that these creatures were mad about that being fixed, which tells me they had something to do with it, or there was a human that they were controlling that had something to do with it. That might lead to discovering something else about these creatures. We were mentioning them the last time, and I've encountered them before. I encountered one under the house at one point, a small one, and the forest people helped me get rid of it. But I came to find out they actually like to go in packages to people's houses. They like to follow mail, probably either the words and numbers. Could be a sigil, a stamp that's on there, like how Jinn follow it. I am actually not quite certain how it is they follow the packages, whether they are actually in the box, linked to the box, part of the box, don't know. But they hang out in warehouses where shipping takes place. They also, from what I believe the forest people were trying to tell me earlier, is they like gaseous environments too. And it is natural gas, I believe, flowing through those lines. So who knows, it might have a similar composition to something they like having around. And I'm told these bat creatures do live in caves, like you'd expect a bat to do, and are in the Sedona area, and that's where we are now. We're not in the same spot we were before. where we could point out where some of their territory was. It was near Bell Rock, somewhere in that area. But
so if you were driving and you were in Sedona and you were interested in vortexes, one of the vortex areas, let's say you took a tour to the vortexes, they would take you to an area referred to as Boynton Canyon. Boynton Canyon and the surrounding area is very, very large. You have certain designated spots that are more, let's call them more traditional trails that people go to. But if you are driving to Boynton Canyon, you'll probably notice in some of the roads, there's a lot of people that just pull off the side of the road and then go up into the areas. And that's literally what we've done. We're not on a, let's call it an official trail, but we're certainly within the vicinity of trails that are commonly visited, let's say.
Yeah, we just pulled off to the side in a dry wash area, basically, where the water leaves this area. And it's full of red Sedona dirt everywhere, very spongy walking in here. This is where we are. And the closer we got to a vortex area here by Boynton Canyon, the more disorienting the energy became.
For us.
Yeah, for us. It may not be the same for other people, but people that are sensitive to it, you might feel a disorientation. Vortexes will enhance whatever energy is around you, in you, on you, even influencing you at times. It's not necessarily just pure benevolent energy. It's a magnetic energy that's here that will enhance even your attitudes that you have. My father came here years ago, and it drove him nuts.
Maybe a little too much disclosure right there.
But also other people that I know have come here and have driven them nuts too. So, but what happened this morning with those two beings is the Sasquatch don't really care for them. They see them kind of a nuisance, really. They basically, what they were saying is negotiate the different territories is just basically trying to avoid conflicts with these different beings and entities. And now, if they attack you, different story. Of course, you have a right to defend yourself. But the feeling I'm getting out here is we're being watched by several different parties, though. Like, there's trees all around in here, pine, and you have holly bushes in here, and you have other thorn-like bushes in here. You have some yucca plants that are growing in here, and you have a wash that goes through here, and water flows can sometimes carry entities, and we're also near.
Yeah, you were near. If we would turn the camera and get above the trees, you'd see a lot of Red Rock Mountain. So this is probably carrying the water from whatever falls. And we had a pretty large snowfall event that happened not too long ago. So I'm pretty sure that's all squishy because the water had come through, a week ago.
Yes, yeah, and it's actually fairly nice out right now down here. A little cool up in Prescott, or by Prescott, but it's actually fairly decent. But yeah, we're looking at a high mountainside right here, which would be perfect for some of these creatures to be in. But there's some. I believe there's some fae out here too, but they're rather apprehensive for I don't know if they're for us being here, or I'm not quite certain why there's a level of agitation here. I'm not certain if it has to do with the bat people. I feel like they're watching as well, and I feel the forest people are. But there's this certain level of agitation, especially coming from this direction here. And we couldn't point the camera this way because this mic is very sensitive to noise, and traffic is going this way. If I'd pointed the camera towards the mountainside, even though you wouldn't be able to see too much traffic, you'd be able to hear it. So it's over in this way. I'm not sure if this is Dryad or if this is Fae. Can somebody out of your group that represents your group that is for our highest good, please show yourself or present yourself in some way? Well, there is a bat person out here, I know that. There are three. Could you please keep your distance till we know your intentions, please? Thank you.
And is this actually, again, like we had kind of landed on before, is this actually kind of borderland, or are we actually standing on what someone would consider their property?
The Fey beings that are in the trees are saying it's under dispute.
Okay. So as we always do, then we would say we would like to put our energies into declaring this kind of neutral land.
Yes.
And that's always a benevolent act to do, as we were saying before. And benevolence for everyone's highest good. Neutrality for everyone's highest good, and benevolence to oversee it. So hopefully that'll help a little.
They're wanting the power of some of the natural resources out here, like the military is eventually going to. They said some of the forest people and some of the elementals said eventually the military would drain some of the vortexes out here. They sell the energy from it. Is that what they were saying one time? They would allow different aliens to use the energy from the area. Eventually, it would run the well dry. I believe there's something close to here that like a vortex that's under dispute for that same reason. So Boynton Canyon has always had kind of an unstable energy to it. It's not necessarily benevolent completely. It's always had like a not a warring energy, but just a tug of war. And so this makes sense that they're saying this area is under dispute.
And when I know your mom was telling us stories when she was out here, was it in the 90s? And was this the area that she got photographs of certain things?
No, that was in another area. That was another area. That was the area we were a couple times ago, actually.
Okay.
But her and Laverne and I were actually here in 2009, but we are further in, and there is military activity further in. To actually give you guys a rundown. 2009, this was like a month before I was in my accident. This was like August 2009. September 2009 is when I was hurt. Went to the edge of Boynton Canyon, and there was literally a chain or rope that had a wooden sign on it that said, wooden sign in one area and a metal one in another. It said, it was a government line, do not cross. Well, I was literally this close to the sign. And other tourists were around too, but they were steering far clear of it. And what I did is I just kind of pulled the move. I just put my foot over the chain like that because it was dipped like this. So I just put my foot like that and then walked away. We got in the car, and there is a famous tour here called Pink Jeep Tours. I'm not dumping on them. They have, from what I heard, they have a good service. I'm not dumping on the inventors of it. But government agents and watchmen for the area will actually utilize that system to watch over a border, or watch near where there's a base. And there's also a helicopter coming up here in the background, but watch over an area. And as we were driving away, I was in the back seat. I caught the glance of the driver, and he was literally looking right in my eyes. And I had this feeling like he was a watchman for the area.
And you can take tours through Sedona.
And you can take tours,
via helicopter again.
Yeah, that's a helicopter tour up here. Yeah,
this is just coming by.
Yeah,
just showing.
Yeah, that's one of the tour ones. But it wouldn't surprise me if it had been something else. But this is just one of the tour ones. But yeah, that's what the Pink Jeep Tours do. They drive through these areas, and several other tour companies do. But this driver specifically, the man I'm talking about, not the company, but the man, was utilizing that particular service to actually watch us. And it was literally right after I'd put my foot over that rope. And that's the kind of attention you get out here as well. It's under dispute from these beings and military. And the military are utilizing the vortex energies for whatever projects they have, and also to trade to galactics and other beings. So that's what there's something there's a level of agitation. I don't know if this is a good channeling spot or not, because there's this agitation energy here. Like, they don't like the bat people here. These guys don't like the bat people here. The bat people feel they can walk wherever they want in this area.
Well, then they're not doing it just because we're here. They do it anyway.
They do it anyway. Yeah, at first I thought it was us, but it's not us particularly. So what is it that what would you want to inform a viewing audience of about this spot? They're saying, well, for one, what did you say? You're hard to hear, actually. I know you're trying to keep the energy level very thin, as not to open a portal. I know, I understand that. Because they know if they get into a full-fledged channel, it's going to open a communication conduit. So, what is it that, again, I'll ask again, what is it that you want these people to know about this area? Okay. Humans cut through a vein of energy here, not only by the roadway, but what are they doing underground, and it actually caused the area to be in dispute. The original nature energies are the ones that are agitated. The original nature, the elementals, they're agitated because it opened it up for all these other races to come in here. They feel they have sovereigns here, and these other races, some other beings, oh, you're saying not just the ones that live here, you're saying other ones from space come in here and actually cause problems. Yes, okay, because they want the energy as well, correct? Okay, and this was originally your territory and no other. Well, the Myrrh also said many centuries ago this was theirs too. They said true, but that was also much too long ago.
Because they've left.
Because they've left. And so the nature entities that are in the trees, different dryads, different fae, those are the ones we're talking to at the moment. And there's a bat person somewhere back on the other end of the wash here that's just kind of scowling.
But besides that, there's something very special here.
Yes, there is.
That will actually make you feel a connection or feel a almost, I hate to say it, like a positive excitement of meeting something or having an experience or doing something that's kind of new. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to explain it. You know that? Okay, so that excitement of you've been wanting to meet somebody, you've been wanting to have conversations with them, you've been wanting something, and you're going and you're getting ready to knock on that door, and that kind of nervousness that you feel that you're kind of excited about it, mm-hmm. but you're a little bit nervous as well, but you feel, wow, this could really be something good and nice. Mm-hmm. That's the feeling, ignoring the other agitations. And I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know what that is. I don't know if these nature entities have stayed very low and not communicated. I'm not sure what this is.
Yes, they've stayed this group has stayed very, very low. And the excitement that you're picking up on is, how can I put it? Yeah, I know there's high vibrational energies, but there's a higher magnetic field here. But why does it draw people to it? Is it an artificial draw or is it a natural draw? Let's just go that way. Is it a natural, woo, I'm excited about this, or is it an artificial one that pulls you in? It's elements of the two. All right, that's elements of the two. They're saying they have nothing to do with that. They're saying they have nothing. Oh yeah, bird just flew over us, but yeah. They have nothing to do with that. They're saying some of it, okay, it's a natural pull because naturally it was like a temple space. To amplify particular energies, kind of like we have like a bullhorn for amplifying sound. And are you saying the military and other aliens are actually causing an artificial draw as well? Why? Oh. They said for the same reason that they draw people into Mount Shasta. Mm-hmm. Where other aliens can get genetics, energy, all of that. Mm-hmm. So in what parts are we talking about here? I know Sasquatch has a territory, you guys have a territory, the bat people have a territory, cat people have a territory. Where is the artificial draw at versus the natural one? They're blended. Okay, but let's just go this route. Where is the strongest artificial draw? Close to us here. Are you saying Boynton Canyon itself? Yes?
Well, is the vortex that they see? This is what I don't know, because we literally went, remember, into that store that had its own little vortex that was like 3 feet in diameter. And
That's what they mean by artificial draw. There's different places. Are you saying there's only a few natural vortexes and they've opened up maybe little cracks and fissures, maybe from the mining? Yes. Oh, and okay, I understand. They're showing me a diagram in my head of what they're doing. Are you saying some vortexes are fake? Correct. All right. Which ones are natural? What do you mean by overlaid?
Well, they're overlaying for the energy.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so, but also they're using it for some other purpose too. So they're saying things are intermixed, but there's areas that are stronger of the natural and stronger of the amplified, or stronger of the draw, basically.
So which one do you feel is stronger here in Boynton Canyon?
There is a natural vortex there, but they're saying there are multiple fissures from the usage of that vortex that have opened up, which form their own little ones.
So what do you feel? I'm sensing one that's 50-50, one that's more natural, or one that is more deceptively pulling. I'm just curious.
The one in the shop was deceptively pulling. Completely.
And then literally that one, guys, you literally had to just literally be within 3 feet of it.
And then when
you walk away from it, you get 5 feet. It's like, I can't believe there's something right there kind of thing. It's not this huge, expansive, it's just really weird.
They're calling it an artificial, they keep using the word eminence or essence, or that it's being pulled or funneled towards a different area. Why? Okay, this is going to be more of a, this is going to be a strange question for them then. Then why, if they're trying to dissuade, say, people from considering this place metaphysical in nature, or metaphysical capital, why then would they create a false vortex that would draw people in? That seems a paradox to me. For one, there are different groups doing these things, different factions doing these things. And two, they're saying it's difficult to explain to answer that one. Some groups want to keep people away from some of the activity, while others want to draw them in. They're saying it's a melting pot.
Of intention.
Of intention. That's why it's a hard question to answer. That's why we're seeing a contradiction in actions, is because it's different groups with different agendas. Be like, come here, no, go away. That's how some are. Like the forest people would try to keep you away from danger, while others would go, nah, come on up in the hillside at night. That sort of thing. And they're basically saying people are abducted here all the time, and it would do the area good to actually get rid of all the multiple agendas and have a unified front, or a unified agenda here. But that's just not how it is. Is how they're describing. And what is it that else that you want them to know? I know you don't want to come through because of the under dispute. Oh, never channel in areas that are under dispute. Even though this is kind of that way, it's still just an echo of a telepathic blip. That's why it's harder to hear them, because they've backed the frequency to where I can just hear them on a little minute level. And never channel in areas under dispute. However, there are areas here that are good for that. That are very, very apt for that, is what they're saying. They would like nothing more than to have the whole area calm again. And as you were saying on the ride up, the different energies that people bring in,
right,
that get amplified, they might let loose an attachment that drops in here somewhere.
Well, it's an interesting thing that people need to think about. I mean, as some place become really, really popular, you have to remember also that a lot of people at the same time bring in all kinds of different energies of their own, plus anything and everything that could be following them or attached to them. So, that's kind of, something you have to remember as well, because just because you're here, just because you feel like in some areas you could go, and really let your guard down, you really shouldn't.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that, yeah.
And think that, because if you're here in high tourist season, you just don't know what's going to be around you. It doesn't mean you can't truly enjoy it. Just consider everything. I guess what I'm saying is, don't think the land is way more powerful than the 200,000 people that are standing on it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So just be wary of that.
Yeah. When I was back here in 2009, one of the things that happened while we were here was we were staying at, I'm not going to say the name of the business, but we were staying at a bed and breakfast for that weekend. My mother, Laverne, and I. And that was the time I got the famous alien picture of the green glowing gray face. And that was just after we were seeing a UFO in the sky that also flashed back at us as I was flashing the cameras flashed to take the pictures. Got orbs with gray faces in them, and with taking the famous gray picture. I can even place it in the video here for people that don't know what the picture is. And there was an image of 3 gray aliens, and one's dead center with a mean look on its face. Then you have the profile with the green. It was being hidden by a shield that actually had green energy in it, some kind of plasma energy in it. And a light from a nearby house was shining on, revealing him. Kind of like if the Predator had a light through his bent light shielding, you would see a distortion. It was kind of like that. I found out that some of these beings are green like that, they're actually absorbing energy. And he found out he had his fingers in the earth and he was absorbing energy, and I just caught him just going like that, and that was the image I got. That's why he was also green. He was getting some kind of, I don't know if it was plasma or if it was some kind of energy that's specific to this area. That I know you think red when you come to Sedona, but he was taking some green energy from here. I'm not quite sure what that is. Maybe we can inquire here as to what that was. What is it? Normally these beings have to take it from human. Why? I've always wondered this, because normally they need the human as the go-between, like an adapter and a plug. So how are they able to stick their fingers in the earth and grab the energy? And what was that energy? Interesting. They said, we told you the energy vortexes and the energy in the area that permeates the soil can be utilized by anyone. Even if there's no humans, these vampiric entities can literally touch this and draw it from it. Not all of them. Some are heavily repelled by it, but not all of them. Some want it.
Which is, I'm assuming, then why the military want to declare ownership to sell it.
Yes.
Versus
yes, exactly.
Versus beings used to just show up here for free.
Now, is there something wrong with the soil itself? Using it like in orgone pieces? Absolutely not, because it's the intention that's put into it, and because it's basically it's a type of magnetically and energetically charged iron oxide with red clay is what it is, and also it brings up a brighter red when it gets rained on because of that fact. So let me see here. This being was literally able to take it out of the dirt itself and glow green from it, and that's what that energy looks like when they put it in one of themselves. Is it just for themselves, or would you see that green otherwise? You'd see a paler green, but when they gather it together in themselves, it turned into that neon green. Yeah, all right. That actually clarifies that then. Yeah, it's like a Mountain Dew color is what it is. A lighter Mountain Dew color is what it is. Okay, that actually clarifies that. In short, many beings here for their own purposes, for their own agendas. Not dumping on Sedona itself. It's a great, lovely area, great energies in some areas, under dispute in some areas, and has alien territories dividing up the area, along with military, trying to get these energies for their own purposes. So you got multiple agendas here. I'm not saying don't stay here, and I'm not saying there isn't a great energy here.
No,
not at all.
I would say, if you're energy sensitive, it really would be an adventure to come here and see what you feel, and even like we say, go to the little pinprick ones versus go to an area that has a larger one.
Yeah.
And just see what you think of all of it.
Yeah, just see what you think of it. Right now, it seems it's getting more peaceful here. These nature beings, I'm having a hard time seeing them because they're barely there, and I believe that's that's on purpose. These are Fae types or Dryad types that are here, and they're happy that this information is out in some format, even though this is Patreon. They're happy that this is taking place at the moment. The bat people are still off this way. On the other side of this pit that's right here, they're off this way. And there's a couple of them watching us here. And I don't want them following us back to the house if they're going to cause problems like they did this morning. But they have their own territory. It also has to be respected. These nature beings that are here, their territory has to be respected. And the tension energy has dropped. Also, since we declared it neutral, I feel it leveling out. I even feel the frequency raising here.
Yeah.
So it's actually, you get that chill that's inside, and it's actually going to a natural level versus the tension between the tug of war. The tug of war stopped when we started talking. The moment you said neutral, tug of war stopped immediately. And the nature, the Fae that are in the trees and everything, going like that. So they're actually quite happy. But there is somebody that's still agitated, though.
Well, there's, you know what? Even if you were in a room full of diplomats, there'd be agitated.
Oh yeah, think of this as like a conference room. Like, say we're standing in a conference room right now, and you have maybe 50 people or 25 people in the room, and you have some that are in agreement, some that hate each other's guts. And then of course there's a calm because it's neutral territory. It's a calm, and you still have a few people going, why should I have to sit at the table with this person? That's basically the tension here. You got these guys and you got these guys, and they're both keeping their distance from each other. They're kind of looking at each other like you would look at across a conference table. That's how it is. They know they have to behave, but they really don't want to. That's just how, if given the chance, if somebody would ignite that spark, they would be choking each other at the moment. So it's like, that's just how it is. If somebody went and lit that fuse, you'd have to stand back and then wait for the mayhem to stop. That basically is how it would be with these groups. So that's how it is with some of these groups. They have conflicting agendas, and they have conflicting ideals. And some more peaceful, and some may think they're more peaceful, or they just don't care. So you're dealing with all this. You've probably heard that from many insiders, many races with many agendas. That is absolutely true here, folks. That's absolutely true. And there are hubs around the country that either get into a dispute or have beings cross each other's paths a lot. Sedona is one of those areas, heavily one of those areas. And I've seen many other areas across the planet that are like that too, but Sedona seems to be a more unique one. It seems to be a busier hub for alien activity. So if people want to label what race is here, you really can't do that. You really cannot do that. There's so many other groups here. You just got to know who you're running into, why you're running into them, and what they're doing around you. And basic discernment is what it is. And so I don't really see anything else to say here. But anybody else want to say anything else? No, we're good.
How about a question about the area? Because my curiosity is, anybody out there who is watching, let's say, Ancient Aliens, again, some of these more popular shows, where, again, they also suggest that forms of humanity or civilizations have lived on this planet way longer than is currently being discussed, including if you think about Lemuria or Atlantis or any of them like that. It could be, up to 500,000 years ago, really, where civilizations were here. And back in that time, you maybe had, again, civilizations that were popping up and springing up relating to colonizations that were being done by different space races that were coming in. So one of the interesting things I find that people are now wondering, and they are, first of all, they just thought they had good imagination, was the fact that they maybe were monuments that were carved and different things that were carved into rock and carved into, but if you take 500,000 years and you weather it, you start saying, oh, interesting, look at that rock. My imagination says it's a dragon, or my imagination says it's this or that. But what they really are seeing, the reason their imagination is picking up on it is because it truly is weathered, and there was a huge monument or a huge carving or something like that. So they're starting to wonder, like, for example, that one that was going around Facebook that looked like an elephant in the water. And it really looked like an elephant. And we're like, well, I wonder if it really could be what you're thinking it is, but it's just weathered over time, or some of these other carvings. So my curiosity is, because again, I feel the same thing here when I go around. I don't know if it's just my imagination, or am I looking at a formation that maybe really was something else, and what we're looking at is a weathered formation that, has been here and been weathering for, again, like I said, a couple 100,000 years or something. Has this part, because of the energies and everything, long ago, long before I know we were talking about the Indians that were here about 1,000 years ago, I know, but we're talking way before that. Was this actually a popular, I guess I'm going to say, hub, especially for races that were colonizing here? Did they carve things? Did they do things, as well, that we maybe are looking at formations that they had actually built that are now weathered?
Yes, exactly. There used to be statues here as well, even as far back in time as 500,000 years ago. There were things here, and even this was part of Lemuria at one point. A lot of people always have seen this part of Arizona, meaning around Sedona, as having been part of ancient Lemuria. They always
that surprises me, because it's so far inland in the United States. I didn't realize Lemuria was considered that large.
Mu Lemuria was considered to be huge, and there were connecting pieces to Lemuria, or at least easy access to different areas. There used to the people have considered what was here to be a temple of knowledge in some sort, or a knowledge repository in some fashion. Still is. There still is something here.
Well, see, because I'm literally staring at something, and I don't know if you can see it or not, because I'm like, how can something be naturally that curved? So I don't know if you can see the rock going straight through those trees. Do you see the curve indentation that's pushed into the rock? You see how perfectly curved it is?
There is.
It's like, was there something there and that was actually made? Because how does that naturally form such a perfect curve? And I don't know how to turn the camera around to show people what we're talking about, but I see things like this all the time, and my curiosity is, how in the world can that, you see it through the trees?
Yeah, it's really hard to see. I can't zoom in with this.
Formations occur.
But I'll take a picture here.
To maybe take and that's what I'm kind of talking about. It makes me think that there was somehow an opening to something, or but again, you look at things that are, again, for us here, and I think we may be out of frame here. I'll make sure.
There we go.
Just stand where you want, and I'll make sure you're in frame. But we drive around all the time, and we see things that are. It's like, what are the odds that if they uncover that, they'd find a pyramid under that? It just seems to be such a perfect
And I know there is a pyramid here. I know there are stories of a pyramid underground in this area.
Yeah.
Also in the Grand Canyon, there's stories of Mayan temple pyramid being in part of the Grand Canyon that has been usurped by government forces there. But there are plenty of things in this area. People have wrote fiction and nonfiction about this area holding great knowledge and information. Very much like under the Sphinx, how you hear about the Chamber of Knowledge. What it really is a connector. And this is, I'm not sure how, I believe this is coming as a download here. It's a connector to that second layer of underneath Agartha for the information repository, or the Akesh, what people call the benevolent Akesh, Akeshic records. And I believe that, okay, yeah, I'm getting an over-resounding yes to that. That there is a passage close by, not only to there, but down into the second layer, to where the Earth hard drive is, let's just say. And that is what the information is. Not necessarily that there's physical books, but there may be a receptor where people, that's closer to the surface, where people can access that information, like touch. Another reason they're saying for that gray that was touching the Earth, not only grabbing energy, but they can grab information if they have a device or something, or if they have the ability to absorb. I'm getting an over-resounding yes to that. It's just like yes, yes, yes. So they're happy somebody discovered this. They said the red pyramid that is underground, that is actually famous in this area, is one of those sites where you could literally touch and then get an upload of the information from that second layer under the Earth from the Akesh. They're saying parts under the Sphinx are the same way, where it's an access point. It's an access port, like how we would put a flash drive in a computer. It's like that. It's an access port. Think of it in computer terms like that. It's an access port to an underground library. Let's just put it that way, where you can upload or download books, files, whatever you want. Think of it that way. And they're saying in this area, that's something that's also being heavily guarded. The government already knows about it. They're trying to get information out of it, but they can't because they don't access it in the way it needs to be accessed. You have to be of a certain standing in order to access this. This was used on Lemuria and early Atlantis and early Egyptian civilizations. This contains all the records of what's happened all the way up to this point. Many species are allowed to take the information as long as they don't delete information, which they can't. But if they could, they wouldn't be allowed to. But the government is trying to usurp this and try to market it in some way. It's like they got marketing reps working with them. It's like, okay, how can we sell this to the other aliens? How can we sell this information? It's supposed to be free through the nexus point. And they're trying to basically, think of what they're trying to do is this. Say you have this raging rapids, and they've put maybe a gate on part of the rapids. And they think, oh, we're the gatekeepers now. And that, it doesn't work that way. They like that analogy, actually. So they're saying, yeah, they're so stupid that they've put like a half gate on the edge of the bank, and here's the information right here. And they think they've blocked it because they funneled some of it to them. They think they're like, oh, species have to come through us now. No, we're just gonna ride the rapids. And that's how they like that analogy. Actually, they said that's perfect. So yeah, that's what's out here. I got that over resounding yes when I said access port to the benevolent Akesh, and they just all the Fae were just erupting, going yeah, like that, you know. And that's the energy they want to permeate the area completely. That's what they want. And so that's you're very happy somebody came up with that. Okay, yeah, that somebody read the quantum field like that and brought it up. Okay, they said they don't see that too often, that people pick up on things like that. Or if they do, they're saying people, okay, what's that? Follow the false grab, that's what they're saying, or the false pull or draw, versus getting the impartial download. They're trying to either meld them together, and they get false information about Okay, they're just going to be blunt. They're saying false information about, say, like archangels or light beings or something like that. You know, where, oh, this light being and da 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 said this and this and this, and they're really.
So there's an infiltration to the information that's coming out, and there's intentional infiltration to put in other data that making it feel like it's coming naturally from there, and it's not, and people are reading the.
Yeah, they're reading both. They're getting some
both.
of the real one and then a lot of the fake one coming in, and so they're going, oh wow, I experienced this, and it's melded together, and they take that away as a full factual book. Let's just say if I took that information and wrote a book, it would contain truth and lies in there, and deceptions and factual information. What these beings want is the rest of that other junk to go away, and they want people to be able to read the library. And then eventually that's going to happen, I feel, once everything opens up more. But you always hear us saying we're grounding into the benevolent earthly Akeshas of this moment in time and galactic Akesh, benevolent galactic Akeshas of this moment in time. What we're doing is grounding information that becomes available to everyone else. People that are usurping or taking over, say, that access port, think they've taken over the entire thing. And that's not true, like we just said. They think they can market this. Well, you can't market what's in the ethers. You can't market the quantum field. You can, of course, make products from it and all this other stuff, like what we've done, which is absolutely great. But the information itself that's ever flowing, no. They're saying even now they're attempting to try to corporate market something else. They're telling me that the military or government is in the process of corporate marketing something about that at the moment. That's in the actual second layer of the Akashic. They're some product line or some name or something. They're being kind of vague, I think, for our safety purposes at the moment, but they're saying as we are speaking now, they are actually formulating different marketing strategies and stuff like that surrounding it. They're so arrogant that that's what they're doing. And I have nothing against making money, don't get me wrong, but what these people are doing are vastly different. They've completely tried to close this off, and now that's what these beings are saying, that that's all they're going into currently with that, because they said it would put us in some kind of danger, telling us the rest of it. Just say it's a project that's in the works that will appear on television and on the internet very soon from this point, from what they see these people doing, that these people are trying to punch it out as a date like summer, fall, something like that. Whatever this is a marketable thing, but they're not telling you what the thing is. Telling me the thing would hurt us at the moment. Okay, just say it's a thing, marketable thing that they're using this information for because of their little artificial funnel that they've created, thinking they're controlling.
A new discovery that will arise that's going to help humanity somehow.
Yeah, help humanity in some way. Some small way in comparison to the whole set of records. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying that would be the marketing, that people would potentially hear from the outside. Something was discovered.
Yes.
And
something was discovered, like something alien or something that they're marketing and using the information in that library, even symbols that are in the library, even just any shapes, sigils, symbols, product ideas, technological ideas that come from it. It's going to be marketed soon. That's what they're trying to say, and that's all they can go into on that. And I was trying to probe them a little bit to get maybe what field it was going to be in, and they're not. No, they're going no. So they said that's for our own safety. So we'll leave it at that. So anything else you guys want to add, and then we can conclude this? They're thanking us at the moment for declaring this neutral and restoring the peace. That's it. I'm not even sure what to call this. I think it's a talk with the elementals.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I believe this is a talk with the elementals. So we'll go with that. I'm sorry though that seems disorganized, but sometimes that's how it is. We don't know until we're on site.
No.
So we don't know what category it's going to fall under.
We don't have a clue.
So thank you guys for watching this episode of A Talk with the Elementals. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. This is a continuation of what we were speaking about yesterday. Today, I will look at the date. Today is February 16th, 2020, and it was yesterday you saw us in Sedona dealing with those two groups, that Bat group and those that Fae group, and the energy became more calm. But we were also speaking about military interactions that are going on out there, and the fact that people get abducted when they go through there. And we're also speaking about that infamous alien photo of mine, where things started to happen after I took that. Well, I will go into my segment here, and she can go into her segment here, but these were, let's say, dreams, which I know damn well they weren't. This happened throughout the night, and even earlier this morning. I'd have to say somewhere around 5 a.m. the things were still going on. So this is what happened from my end. And I saw her there. I know she was in the same spot, but she wasn't treated as well as me, and we got separated. We were in a very big place. I would have to say either a base or some kind of orbital platform like a space station or something like that. They could have used a space illusion there and had it be a base as well, because they wouldn't have been able to really take us too far from here in the short amount of time that they had. What happened was it started out where I was in a room with a heavier set man, had white hair, beard, curly a little bit, and a couple other guys, Joanna, and one really short person that was in a black hood. And we were all sitting around, and I was speaking to the curly-haired guy. He seemed to be into radio. He was talking about radio broadcasting. We're in an area where they were broadcasting things on radio, kind of like how Sirius XM's headquarters are made up of all the different studios in the same building. It was divided up like that. Some were in different areas recording different things, and I had a grievance that I wanted to be able to do the same for us. And he said, well, no, you have to say what we want you to say, or you're not going to do it. And I got into an argument, and that's where that went. And it seemed that the people that I encountered in this room, to start with, very placid until you started really questioning intentions. Then they started to get agitated. But, we were also talking about that hollow feeling as well in the previous video with forest people, when that other soul group showed up. This connects back to that. Everything I encountered there was hollow feeling. Well, what I did was, I do my usual thing, and I would snoop. If I know I've been abducted, I'm going to snoop, and I'm going to report on every detail that I see. Whether it's disinformation on their part, or whether it's something legitimate. They had physical disinformation things when you're around them. So I started to snoop after I was done arguing with the radio guy. I didn't even know his name. I just called him Radio Guy. Well, I went into a neighboring room that the door had just opened, and I started seeing actors. We always talk about actors' faces. I'm not quite sure whether the actors themselves were in this setting, or these people just were made to look like them, or they were alien. I have not gotten that question answered yet. But I saw, we got a javelina watching us too over here, but but yeah, pigs walk through this neighborhood periodically, so there's one just strolling by here. But anyway, what happened was I walked into this other room with these two other guys, and one of them resembled, at least, the actor Sean Bean. He was sitting to my right at a table, and there was another person at a set of monitors or cameras looking out over different parts, like a security person. He wasn't looking at me, but I could hear him talking to somebody. Then through the same door I came in comes this woman. Well, she wasn't really wearing anything except for a towel around the waist, and sometimes you do see this in a lot of abduction cases where there's nude or partially nude people. This does happen. So this is what tipped me off that this was something of that kind. and I'm seeing this person looked like a famous actress. I may not go into all the different names, but I'm just saying who they resemble. This one resembled Helena Bonham Carter. She had that look to her. Don't know if it was her. And I talked to this Sean Bean lookalike, and I said, well, didn't you notice this? And he's like, yeah, but really, there's nothing to it, nothing about it. Real nonchalant attitude coming from the guy, which you wouldn't expect. And I remember having a conversation with her over, I cannot remember exactly what the conversation details were. It was kind of fuzzy, but it was something that I recognized her as being part of maybe another abduction event or something of the nature. And she, and I said I was surprised to just, she was wondering about the look on my face. I said I was surprised to see a naked person come walking in, and she's like, well, get used to it, and then walked away. Well, I figured, okay, I'm gonna go snoop some more. I started wandering through a couple corridors, went past a couple of guards, armed guards, military. These guys looked like army, or like black ops, dressed soldiers. And I went past a door, like an opening door, like you would see in a resort. The hallway looked like it would have been like a big hotel or resort casino type place. And I opened the sliding door. And I see a field of stars and a runway type setting that looked almost like a curb next to a hotel or a casino, where you can drive by and have like an overhang type of thing where you can drive under. And there were these ships coming through a shield, coming in, landing, and basically it's almost like a valet would take their vehicle, and then the person would come in and be directed in. Well, there was a naval crew out there, like you'd see on an aircraft carrier, directing craft in with the little lightsaber-looking flashlights, directing them in. And I watched him for a bit, and I went out and got close to him, and he got angry at me and told me that I was in danger to get off the tarmac, basically. And I was like, all right. And I went inside and got bumped by a couple of soldiers, rudely bumped. I started wandering some more. Came across almost like a hotel type setting with people's names on doors. I would assume the people that were staying in this place. It was the inside was set up a mix between a casino, hotel, and a cruise ship. If you want to get down to it, with the recording studios in there for radio, film. And there was a resort somewhere in the hub of this place. And I went and started reading some of the names on the doors. The housekeeping people were getting very agitated, or what appeared to be housekeeping people were getting very agitated with me. Well, then I wandered some more, more towards the center of where it's more densely populated with people. And it started to get warmer as I started to walk further in. And I saw a mixture of like different shops, like you'd see in a mall, little like corner kiosk type things, resort, pool, people in pool, and a shower area. And I had to pass through the little shower area in order to get to shops, which was really strange. It was kind of funneled in that way. And these things were all laid out strange, like different weird layouts of where these shops and people were. And some were partially closed, some weren't. It was just like in some areas were like a resort, where you'd see people in swimsuits, but it was still the same thing with the towel, nothing. Men and women, same thing. But in the shower area, they had nothing. And people would walk up to me and say hello. They thought it was weird that I was in blue jeans and t-shirt walking around in tennis shoes. They thought it was weird. And it saw another actor. Saw somebody that looked like Robert Pattinson, and saw somebody that looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger while I was there. And all the same towel. And people were mingling with other people, seemed to be having fun. I believe that was the illusion aspect of this. And I saw, like how you'd expect, like a almost like a food stand, you know, where somebody was making some weird concoctions, and saw some people very excited to receive whatever it is they were going to receive, food-wise. And there was this strange-looking man at the counter, very odd-looking man. He had purple skin, purplish pink skin, had like this Don King hairdo-looking thing going on, strange clothes. Thought he was a clown at first, but I got closer and noticed he was an alien. And I just looked, you know, he was all happy and jovial with all the people, and he turned around and looked at me, and he had this look on his face like he was asking for help. Like, deep inside, he didn't want to be there. And I just kept walking, and saw other people in a resort area, and saw even an empty area that had a conveyor belt, like a shipping receiving area, like what I spotted on one of those Juggernaut Pyramid Orion vessels that time. And there was nothing in there. The room was empty. It was totally empty. It was cold in there. But as I got further in, you know, I remember making the comment to myself, like, no wonder people aren't wearing hardly anything. It's hotter than hell in here. And I was sweating like a pig as I was going through there. And it was very, very, I want to say it was intimidating and creepy. Now, one detail I forgot to mention was, in the beginning, the person that had the hood, the shorter person that had the hood. I nicknamed this person the Hacker because this was benevolent to me, and Joanna sitting there. And we had our phones with us, which I thought was really weird. We started out being told we were going up, you know, into like space, which I feel this was a complete disinformation thing. I feel it was in a base somewhere, you know, because they have the ability to stagecraft a lot of this, even some of the alien stuff. What this person did was, we had our phones with us, and I was trying to text somebody, like people back home, family or somebody, and this person commented, this hacker person commented, "Oh, that's not going to work. They may get a message, but it's gonna be garble. It's going to be like just a bunch of symbols and letters." Like I used to explain quite a while back on mysterious messages that people would get in their email. It'd be all weird symbols and stuff. That's stuff that comes from military and aliens that are trying to get you a message, hoping some little fragment of it gets through. This person, this female, that looked almost like the height of a leprechaun, very short, in a hood, was doing was, she said she could alter our phones to maybe do it. And in the middle of this table was this little object that looked like one of my turd emoji orgone pieces, roughly the same size, and it was glowing. And whenever any of the other people would send messages through the ship or outward, this thing would glow, and you'd see beams of energy going into this thing and swirl about in it, very much like we have towers that send messages and signals to each other. It was that. It was like a miniature, like Wi-Fi hub, is what it was. Essentially the same thing, just extremely advanced. But this hacker tried taking our phones and tried rigging it up to that, but then she came to the conclusion that, oh, these are two incompatible systems. Like what we have down there wouldn't be able to read them, and vice versa, completely. It's like Mac and PC talking to each other. Like it would have to be a complete overhaul to go to the other system instead of what we have. And this is what I was also being shown. This place had a mixture, like I said, of regular people, celebrities, politicians, and just a variety of regular people, all mishmashed into several different environments. And I came out of this feeling very creepy, and it was like something horrible had happened. And this is how I knew there was an abduction. Before this happened, I had woken up from another strange dream, which was very short, where I was in some kind of alchemist lab somewhere with a woman that was treating me like a child, saying, don't touch this, don't touch that. It was like an old medieval alchemist lab. And I remember picking up stuff, like I found a stone that was neat, that looked almost like plastic, but it looked like, it was like plastic, but it was like petrified wood. And she's like, no, put that down. You know, she was talking to me like a child. After that, as I was trying to go back to sleep, I heard Isaac say, just roll with it. When he says that, he's basically begging me not to pick a fight with anybody. And that's when the whole other thing I just explained happened. And that was around, I would have to say, 5 this morning is when that took place. And it normally they don't do things that close to sunrise, but they must have needed us to do something. But that's pretty much roughly what I experienced. It was had a very hollow feeling. What we were talking about had this hollow feeling, except for those beings that were exhibiting their emotions, like the big purple guy, or one of the military people. You felt true emotions from the military people. From the radio guy with the white hair, I felt true emotions from him. Whenever I would push his buttons a little bit, I would feel that. And also from the little hacker person, I felt true emotions. Everything else was hollow.
And the emotions you were feeling from the military people?
Hostility, and also from the guy that was outside with the directing lightsaber flashlights. His was genuine concern. His was I was in danger if I was standing next to him out there. His was genuine concern. He seemed to be one of the only people there that seemed to have like a heart space, like he really genuinely cared. Everybody else was either arrogant or mad or something like that. And I don't believe he completely knew what was going on the interior. It's like you have a base, and you have the people that are guarding the base on the outside and up on the surface, and they're going through their drills and their operations, whatever they are. Then you have all the compartmentalized compartments down under that they don't talk to each other. And I feel this was the true setting. The space in the orbital space station and seeing things coming and going, I do not think that one was completely real. Maybe we can confirm this. But what got validation to me that something was going on also is my mother told us this morning about 7:20 there was a big explosion out here, like deafening explosion out here, and Laverne seemed to think it was coming from the airport. I can't confirm that, but nothing has been reported, nothing online, nothing on the television has been reported.
And where he worked, the people there heard it.
And the people where work. Yeah, where he worked, people were reporting this to him, saying, "Oh, this is what happened out here." But nobody, like on the news, we haven't heard anything. Internet, we haven't heard anything or seen anything. If there is anything, I'll put a link underneath the video. But if anything appears later on, but that's the side that happened to myself. Joanna, if you want to tell them what happened to you on your end.
Well, I think through the night, so I know Chris thinks events happened at, events happened at about 5 a.m., but I remember waking up between remembrances, because oftentimes I'll wake up and then I'll go back into something and it's somehow a continuation of it. So I don't know that we were abducted then. I can say that going in and out of sleep, there was remembrance going on then. So I don't know if the abduction took place then or earlier, but we seem to be able to recall. And I don't know how soon after something we seem to be able to recall. But it often comes during the wee hour mornings before you get up. Those remembrances seem to come back. Because I do remember Laverne had to go to work. He got up pretty early. And I do remember waking up between things and seeing the hall light on and stuff like that, meaning he was awake, meaning that it was a little after 5 or meaning anything like that. And I do remember when he was heading off to work, I thought something happened with the car, like you know, like something in the engine. You turn the car on and the engine makes a bad noise or something, but there was no drama associated with it, so I just fell back to sleep. But I do remember hearing something as well, but I had associated it with he was getting in the car to leave and something happened. But you know, what I kept coming in and out of were dreams, and I first thought maybe I was having a remembrance of something that actually occurred earlier in my life, because in the dream sequence I was younger than I am now, and I could have been quite a few years younger, like in my upper teens or in my very early 20s. So I was very much younger. And it was a scenario, again, where I spent quite a few times looking up at the sky going, I'm not home. I'm not where I should be. I do remember one time thinking, I don't know why this went through my head, thinking that maybe I was completely on the opposite side of the earth. And it may have been, again, why I was thinking I was young and I didn't understand what was going on. But, you know, maybe not having the comprehension at that age that I was completely abducted, you know, or something like that. But the issue really was revolved around, again, a scenario having to do with, it seemed, again, men and women were separated, so I was with a bunch of women. And I remember there was an older woman having conversation where I would guess that she maybe had a little bit more of a clue what was going on. That's how I was made to feel. But I don't remember too many details or too many conversations. What I was perplexed about is there was a younger girl there, and this young girl may have been about 8 or so. So I was perplexed looking down to see a younger girl there. But I know I kept looking up at what I perceived as the sky that hardly had any stars in it, basically going, you know, I don't know what's going on, but I know I am not home. I just know I'm not home. I know this is concerning. I know this whatever. And many times in these dreams, I seem to take more of a observation stance. Let's say that I may even be active, but somehow I'm watching myself versus always participating. I seem to be taking more of a quieter, watching what's going on kind of position, and I don't know what's going on with that either. I do think that this sequence came in not in order, because I would have bits and pieces in this section, but if you take it and you rearrange the dreams, you have a sequence of events that is on our timetable, let's say linear timetable. I don't seem to get these dreams coming back in a linear fashion. There's a piece here, a piece there, a piece there. So I had that one that I'm looking up going, I don't belong here. I had another part where there were 2 men who were walking someplace, and it's like all of a sudden they realized I wasn't with them, like I was supposed to be with them and I wasn't with them. And so it was this, and again, I'm watching this and I'm watching myself run to hide, to escape, let's say, and they're trying to find me. So that was another component that I knew I was trying to escape. Another component that came in almost felt like a rescue, that people were coming in to rescue us from the situation that we were in. Literally like military or somebody coming in, or another group coming in to stop what was going on, to actually rescue the people. So that sequence happened as well. All of this, and I remember even at one point I got really upset, and that's why I also thought I was younger, because I said out loud in a very primal, let's say, you know, when you're so scared it comes out so primal, this primal, where was my mom and dad? You know what I mean? And it was just this primal being upset. And then I remember turning and looking, And here I am now having this moment, this panic attack, this fear, this whatever coming out of me. But I turned around and looked, and there was that younger girl who really, honestly, like you say, the hollow feeling, there was such hollowness there. But I remember looking at her going, oh my God, she must be feeling even more scared than me. And it made me shut up, because I thought, I can't act this way in front of this even younger person. So I didn't know what to think about it. My mind was trying to put it together, and I was thinking maybe this was some sort of, being sold into servitude situation. I'm not quite sure what was going on, but again, it came back in all these pieces. Then another series of dreams began to occur, and it was almost like a revolving dream. In that particular dream sequence, it seemed that I knew that I was with a male, meaning, let's say, husband. I was with a husband figure and a child, although I wasn't really bonded. I don't know how to explain that. I was like, nah, kind of like, eh. But this whole thing was about, this vacation ending. So in my mind, I was like, we're going home. This thing is going to end. But it was this interesting thing where it almost was like going to an amusement park or whatever. And I realized it's like several trips going through and coming in, waiting for this event to occur to open up that you're now going to go on another ride. And I don't know if that was kind of my visualization of being put through another scenario, but waiting kind of in line. And the only other person, because I had concern for that child that I saw, and I interacted with her. Like I said, I was kind of standoffish and everything. And then one other person that I actually spoke to was, let's say, someone in the beginning of the line, like the ride's not starting, and for some reason I popped up and said, well, it's just not time for it to start, and she didn't have clear English, so she didn't speak clear English. And I said, it doesn't matter. I said, I speak English, and I sometimes get all this mixed up too. So I was trying to show a little bit of compassion to this other person who didn't answer me back. It was just kind of weird. But it was kind of like a recognition of a cyclical pattern that was occurring, and you're about to go home. And I'm thinking to myself, this vacation, Jesus, this is, in gratitude that this is about over. I remember that. This one other scene, again, was more of an escape scene. But what I was doing, again, was not seeing myself. I was seeing a man, and he had climbed up into a place that had, and it wasn't a place you could stand up in. You could crawl, like a really small crawl space that you crawled up into, but you couldn't stand in it. So, and he was really happy because he felt like he had gotten to a place of safety, and that he wouldn't be found. And so he felt really happy that he had done that. But he wasn't in a place of safety. And I hate to say this, but the beings that I saw coming for him, and there were these bars, and they were coming in. I would be like, I would say, a ghost watching. I don't know how to say this, but I was more watching this. That he, it must have been pitch black in there. So I was seeing it as if it wasn't pitch black, but it must have been pitch black because he was having to defend himself by feeling, and he had a weapon. And if something would grab for him, he would be able to reach out and, let's say, stab at it, something like that. But it wasn't that he was seeing it. And so I'm not sure about that. But in the end, what occurred is somebody threw something in around him, and he unknowingly put his hand on whatever that was, and whatever that was absorbed within him, and it was basically all over whatever that was. I don't know what happened. But they reminded me that what was attacking him looked more like smaller grays, let's say. But again, I wasn't a participant in that. I was literally like watching that scenario. So for me, when I woke up, not in a good place. That's all I can say. Not in a good place. Not sure if I've seen past life memories, what was going on. I'm still not in a great mood. I'm not in a good mood right now, and very aggravated, and wanting to not be kind back to the ones, to whatever was, initiating us. So I'm honestly not in a very good place right now. I can just tell you that our experiences were 180 degrees different. And even Chris, when he said we went in together, you also saw us separated.
Yeah, like you went off in one direction, I went off in another, and I remember on one of those doors that looked like a hotel, seeing your name and two other people, like a child and a guy, and you then mentioned to me a child and a guy. So so they do coincide. I believe it was the same place, just two completely different sets of experiences. It could have been in a completely different area that I was not in, because we can only relay the places that we were in and what we saw. Granted, like I said, some of it could be disinformation or like a false flag of some sort to confuse the hell out of us, and a mixed whatever they were doing to keep us in that doopy state. But this is something they're famous for. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to think that we'll remember. Well, we remembered immediately, even if it's all wobbly all over the place, we still remember, because the soul remembers, your genetic memory remembers what goes on, so there's really no point in the memory wiping. And we've been experiencing little things like that, at least I have, to where, things are messed up. Like I've noticed that for about a month or so, my thumb hair has been messed up. Like somebody hit it with a hammer. You know how when you smash with a hammer, for a couple days after, you have like a numb area like on the side or something. That's what this feels like. Well, I haven't even used a hammer except for once, and I didn't even smash my thumb. So obviously this was a clue that something had taken place. Small little things. Remember, look for the little stuff like that. Stuff that's out of place. That's with your body or environment that is out of place. The little things count. Go Sherlock Holmes when it goes to this. The little details are some of the most important when you're trying to figure out an abduction. Well, I always feel like this sense of like dread afterwards, like something something bad has happened, and the overall environment has that hollow feeling, and this almost like things are dimmer, like everything's dimmer, like even the sunlight today. It's mid-afternoon. Everything seems dimmer, and it's like I know you're seeing these glasses here, my sunglasses, but even look around, everything seems dimmer, and everything's in this like creepy melancholy.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And it's just this dread, creepy, melancholy feeling. And I didn't get I didn't really in the middle of the night get any like strange odors like I would with abductions. But I knew also my body was reacting adversely. I usually get the nerve jumps in my legs and everything, with the weird ripples and stuff like that. This was like the opposite of that. You would think that would be a good thing. Oh, it stopped. Not necessarily. It felt like I was like coated in rubber or plastic, like I was wearing like a plastic suit of some sort, and it was achy and confining feeling, like I was in something. And my body was coated in this. No nerve ripples whatsoever, which is a first. It doesn't really stop. It stopped, and the body felt like it was like plastic. And I've had that rubbery plastic feeling before, but this was very intense, like the events that we were just speaking about had just happened. It wasn't like a memory that takes weeks and weeks and weeks to like regurgitate out. It like the subconscious finally spits it into the unconscious, and then in the conscious, it didn't. This wasn't like that. This had just happened, and the events with my body were just happening, and it was an uncomfortable night. It was creepy, melancholy, hollow, all of the above.
And day, because today is not.
Yeah, and today is just like meh, and thankfully, I have no sessions today. We really don't have anything pressing to do, but I do wholeheartedly believe this is linked to what we did yesterday. Today's Sunday. Yesterday was Saturday. The Saturday we were at Sedona. talking about the military abductions and everything, I do wholeheartedly believe that this has to do with exactly the topic that we were talking about. And this part bugs me. Where they know we know, and they know we're going to report it to all of you, whether it's Patreon or YouTube or Facebook. Doesn't matter. We're going to say it. And they should know by now we're going to remember because we have the drive to keep going. But yet they continue. They continue to do this. And it's getting harder and harder for them to do what they're doing. Over a period of time, it is my belief people will become completely immune to this process.
I would like somebody who's brave enough to come in and actually speak on this from their perspective of what they saw was going on with us. Obviously, Isaac knew.
Isaac knew, and Cameron, all of them knew. This is also, before we get to that, this is another misconception. They can't always stop it. They can see it. They can report on it. They can't always stop it. People would go, why did they allow if they're in the room with you? It's not about allowing or disallowing, it's ability. At this stage, people think, oh, he's a guide, he can stop this, stop that. Wrong. He's a flesh and blood being that happens to be using that skull as a lens. Basically, like if you're using a pair of binoculars or with a loudspeaker, essentially is what it is. Quantumly based, but that's what he's using. He's using that crystal as a focal point. You're dealing with beings that have equal ability to them. It's an extreme common misconception. Also saying, well, why didn't Source stop this? Source is everything. Well, this could be why you came in, to be able to stop it, energetically put it into the earthly Akesh. I'm not saying I'm condoning what these people were doing. People think I condone when I say something like that. I've heard comments like that before. Completely incorrect. I completely disagree, and I am unapproving completely of what these people are doing. Don't get me wrong. Just because you can't do something physically about it doesn't mean you can't do something energetically about it. And that, I believe, is why Source is allowing that to be able to correct that. And Viking and I have had conversations on this point as well. So if Isaac wants to be the one, there's literally nobody around except for him. So there's no other voices. I don't hear the dryads. I don't hear anybody. But Isaac, yes.
So why is that, Isaac? Why is no one else around?
Man, he's even hard to hear today. There's maybe something's been dampened here. Isaac, also True Benevolent Source Creator, please audit this transmission as of this moment in time. So if I'm not seeing any other benevolence around, please make it visible. Oh, there is something. There are here. There's just a dampening field in place.
Do you want to go get Isaac to make it easier? Then he's closer, or does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. He's right. He's on the property anyway. So, okay, Isaac, are you going to be the one to talk today? Okay. All right. Yeah, you can come forward. I don't know why you're being so slow today, but okay. Oh, he had a binding on him, that's why. He more than like knowing him, he tried to at least object to something. So all right. Only true benevolence. Okay, I'm feeling him, but I'm also feeling that same hollow feeling in the area here. Anything that is hollow, malignant, malevolent, leave now. Only the highest good. Somebody does not want Isaac to talk about this. I can feel a heavy directed at me here. Okay, Isaac, let's do this real quick so that they'll stop here. So let's see. Isaac? Yes, I know you're here, but you're not your jovial self. I know it's you, but you know the routine. All right. Aluminum in the hat. That's why. Okay. Yeah, note, ant people are allergic to aluminum. So I have aluminum in the hat. That's why he wasn't coming close. Okay. I will make this as brief and quick as I can. You'll notice that I am not the joking self I usually am. It is because I've witnessed this numerous times with them, with pre, during, and post-abduction periods. And there have been more than they actually remember. But the human mind and heart and soul's ability to remember these things is astounding to me and others. He is correct when he says not all of us can actually stop these things from going on. I myself am physically on a local base close by. And the only way I was able to show myself was by making it look like a mistake or an accident. With that said, there are those in the military that do take advantage of those open periods to keep maybe a partial injury like the thumb or a partial memory like last night in play. Even with disinformation included, you were still there, you still saw. And that is something, and that is valuable. I do not approve of these activities, nor will I ever. But at the moment in time, adaptations are needed, energetically, as what was said, as well as physically in those situations with what the ant people are doing and various other races to try to raise the vibration and get these events to stop, since physically resisting is not necessarily an option currently, even for us. The purple being he mentioned was indeed an alien that was there. Not myself, as he first thought, but this particular individual was indeed captured, and that does happen, and they were put into a more servitude position. This will change and end quite soon. This I assure you. He himself is normally a jovial, joking person where he's from. He is a species that you both here have not encountered yet. But they are known to be very joking and jovial people, and trade more in laughter than in anything else. Now, to the people that were seen on both ends of the spectrum. There were little playettes, as you would say, taking place, as well as real horrors taking place. The resort type setting was an illusion. All the people that believed they were actually hanging out with these actors and actresses, which indeed some do get abducted. This is a truth. Were the ones that were seen there actually there? Not really, no. This was not in space. This was indeed on a local base. This is why I had to step aside and only watch, because it was within the same facility that I am actually in. It is a compartmentalized set of mazes. Or if you are induced with some kind of drug, it would be like you were in a fun house. And indeed, they do make sections look like different things, such as hotels, such as resort types of settings. Maybe paint colors are different, or rooms are different, offices are different. People are dressed or undressed where appropriate. These are all elements of not only the disinformation, but elements of the intentions of the people behind this. Now, the heart space he felt coming from the one naval man, this is indeed true. He is in touch with his soul, unlike some of the others. He is one that is being affected greatly by what is taking place. I will not mention his name here, but he is what you would call a diamond in the rough that does not believe in fighting each other or doing any of these experiments. He has a you would say, hunch or gut feeling of what is actually going on in the depths of the facilities, but does not question except in his own heart, which that is just as good as physically verbalizing it, which that is an improvement based on what I have witnessed there in that facility. I will not name the facility, just know it is close by and it is within the state and confines of Arizona. Now, in the other scenario with the child and the man, you would see that as a supposed fake couple. This actually happens, whereas there will be fake couples and families that go to different resorts and different hotels and different places, and they were really on a mission. They were attempting to actually utilize that with you and this other individual man. I will not name him or the child, but just know that they were actors in this particular role and that there was a real operation being planned, which has now been, you would say, defunct. On his end, with the one he called the hacker or the little person with the phones, that was indeed a gray that was actually messing with the whole situation. The systems with the phones and the technology can easily be linked up and transformed. There is no difference in the methodology behind either piece of technology. Just one is more advanced than the other, and one could be retrofitted. There is nothing to this. The blockages that you would see are intentionally put in there, not being fought against. I wish to clear that up. Now, with the people that he saw, the men, and who they appeared to be or looked like, these were also illusions. Were these humans? Were these military? Indeed. There are military that are trained in psychic warfare, very much like he was at one time in what you would say is the backstage. And was this the security crew in a neighboring door that was watching the rest of the facility? Yes, this was just a security office like you'd see in a mall or a base or some kind of medical facility. The same, identical. The reason why everything looks so warped is because of the mental control that was in place. If that were absent, you would see it as no different than any other building. Like I said, different paint colors, different motifs in some areas to confuse, different lighting levels to confuse, maybe even blinking lights, maybe even sounds of water or sounds of play. The shower thing was actually a legitimate place. They actually send people through those facilities to disinfect, especially if they've had contact with aliens before they send them back here. That is not an uncommon practice. The aliens also do the naked thing for other reasons. But in this particular reason, they needed to disinfect and send people back up to the surface in a very short amount of time with the amount of people that were there. So it was a monumental undertaking. You would say this is an unnecessary monumental undertaking, and I do agree with that. But that said, they felt that it was something that needed to be done. Now you're asking what was actually done. I can only go into it very briefly. Just know that they were not only collecting genetic samples and testing ability levels in both physicality and psychic levels, but they were also, how shall I say this without going into complete detail, they were testing the veracity and temperament of people, what they would tolerate and what they would not. This may seem new, but this is actually an old tactic. Pushing buttons to see if people push back. You would call it gaslighting. This was actually going on as well, and in a very small amount of time. There were debriefings going on. They constantly want to debrief and want reports back from those they consider are their property or are their operatives or both. Very much like if you would sign up for the military, they would regard you as property and not as a person. You would have a number, etc., etc. Or a prisoner, mind you, same thing. in this scenario, they were debriefing people they felt were operatives as well in different parts of that facility. But the one that you saw with the children, I won't go into extreme detail, but let us just say you are actually correct. You were actually in the same facility, but again, they can be made to look like two completely different places. And you felt like you were far from home, but you actually were not. Some were mishmashed with other memories. Some were illusions to make you feel like you were lesser than you were, like a child. Some people there were acting like children, and you were seeing an appearance of children. They were actually going around and acting like children because they had reverted to that state, or made to revert to that state to make them lesser than what they were. This is why you have been seeing these scenarios. I can get away with speaking of this through this channel like this because there are no rules against telepathic contact, such as it is.
So how, I'm just curious because I cannot tell you the anger I am carrying with me. I'm having don't like to normally carry on this long with such, gut. I can't even explain it, but I'm carrying a lot of anger. My curiosity is that I would make the assumption that we would not be being cooperative, that my intention going there would not to be being cooperative. I'm assuming. So I'm curious, did they have to give up because we weren't?
Indeed. If you were too much of a pain in the ass to them, and then they have a short amount of time or a short window in which to do things, they try to be as efficient as possible. If you're non-compliant too much, or whine and bitch too much, which I encourage for people that are watching this, that if you're in an abduction scenario, do not do anything. Do not be compliant. We're not saying be violent, mind you, just be annoying. Being violent, you may get hurt. We're not saying it is not applicable to some situations. But be annoying, be outspoken, and be obstinate. Because in these scenarios, you doing this, they have a very small window in which they can perform these mass operations like this. And if you do this, it starts to delay them more and more and more, and then they don't get as much done. And so then they have to return you by a certain window, and they may not have finished or completed what they set out to complete.
Okay, so I guess that's one thing that could make me feel better. I think the other thing I'm mad at is, for some reason, I think these are the same people who purport to try to be our friends. And and they are so not, in any way, shape, or form, friends.
No, they would turn on you in a moment's notice if their families were threatened, if they were given an order. Very much like the memories of people he brings back of other soldiers that were his friends one moment and turning on him to arrest him the second. They do this because they themselves are brainwashed to do so. They do not know any different, and they see it as just part of a job. Well, I disagree again on this, and as does himself. Now, the one that we spoke of, the one that we felt had a heart space, he, and I again will not name him, he is on the verge of actually a great epiphany, and he himself will find a way out of the scenario that he is in, and actually be one to report things that he has seen in that same facility, and I highly encourage this. As long as it does not put himself in danger, which in these new energies that he is entering into, he's entering into more of a spiritual epiphany, and he himself may be an insider at some point here in the not-too-distant future. You may see him on a program or on the internet, but that is up to him. There are those like him that are actually coming forward that have open heart spaces, and there are those like you encountered that were your friends, not like myself, but friends that actually at a moment's notice would take you into custody or have you shot. These are not friends. These are walking programs.
So I am curious, why do they still bother with us?
It is because they feel they can and should. I would like to say it is more reasoning than that, but that's the reasoning they would say. It is because they can and should And also the fact they would regard you as their operatives, so therefore they would regard you as property and be able to take you wherever you wish. They do not see you as equals, as they do not see any of those people you saw on either side as equals. They see it as doing a job. They see it as actually either trading people to aliens, trading resources, energy, genetics, and they'll get it however possible. They don't really see the fact that if it's a dire need situation, they don't see the fact that maybe some people out there would choose to help them. They don't see this. They don't want to have no as being an option because it might screw up their timetable, might screw up their plans, might screw up their agendas. So they don't give the option for people to say no, and that makes them in violation. You can say no to some of them all you want. He has said time and time again, I did not consent. This is actually quite true. In these scenarios where they feel that you're already their operative or property, consenting or non-consenting does not matter to them. Just know that it's not always your consent, and it is never your fault because you were manipulated into giving whatever minute consent you did a long time ago. Revoke or not, these particular sets of humans don't care.
And that's important to know because we actually, again, we've always said this. When everyone wants to believe it's non-human. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants to believe that it's the alien. And once we get these aliens out of our hairs, everything will be kumbaya. No, because, and that's part of the biggest problem because some alien races will not get involved when they see human issues. Mm-hmm. So
some will.
Some will, and then some won't because they are like they have to fix their own kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it is difficult and complicated, I guess is the word. But anyway, I don't know what to say about this. I guess for me, it feels like it's just getting old. Mm-hmm. Constantly being taken back, constantly. For me, I'm just telling you guys. I wish I could say they treat me well. They do not treat me well.
No, they do not regard you as an equal.
No, they do not. And, and I will say, I hate to say it, it feels like to me that they are constantly still trying to find a way to manipulate Chris into doing their bidding and they're, I'm even surprised you said I was even thought of for a potential mission because, my experiences with them have just been flat out ugliness.
Think of it as a side. Think of it as a side mission that was more of a, let's just say, storyline.
It was just that's the point. So I'm there not because they want me there. I don't believe so at all. One iota. The only reason I'm carted along is because this one. Because if I weren't carted along, this one would probably be 20 times worse. So I think they bring me along in order and pretend, wink, wink, we're going to use her over here. And really, it's like, we're going to use over here. Go in here. We're going to throw rocks at you. It's a mission. I don't know how else to say it, Isaac. I mean, really.
Indeed. For both of you, they have tried to put you on a set of mission parameters with the promises of for him to be restored to prominence, and to you, they didn't really promise anything other than to sweep you under the rug. With this, I've had to stand back and watch this take place with extreme, as you would say, hostility towards them. They can feel my anger towards them, but they don't care like they don't care with you. Mm-hmm. They think they're holding some of the ant people prisoner in their bases. No. We are actually grounding a certain energy vibration that they cannot comprehend.
And that's very true. Again, they think they're at the highest of the frequency chain, and they can't even sense that there's frequencies above them.
No.
And they don't know that their frequency stinks.
And even if they could know either one of those things, they still would not care. And they are in that your shit doesn't stink attitude. And they have set their sights on you guys, and you always say, well, somebody has to make them let up. I'm saying you can make them let up by not obeying, by not being, by being as obstinate as you can with them. And this goes for entities as well. I mean, of course, know the higher vibration, but at the same time, don't put up with bullies, whether it be human or alien. Do not put up with bullying from them, because that's exactly what they are. Now, with him, they see he's remembering things about his past, in both pasts, say the party timeline, as you call it, and in at the, we'll say the 8-year-old 20 and back. They do have resources that belong to both of you. I will say this, I will not go into great detail. They do have resources, but they're hoping that you can't live without them. And this is something they've tried to use as bait. The object is, you have to be able to see yourself as living without those resources that they would give you, like they would in the past. Once you establish that and establish that vibration, whether you get them back or not is irrelevant. I'm not saying you would or you wouldn't. I'm just saying if it is a thing the soul wishes and came in to do to get a particular resource back, that is what will happen. However, also with the energy opening, will these resources become more open to other humans? Yes. And will they start remembering? Perhaps. If that is why their soul came in. Will they get shocked by things that happen to them just like you have and angered? Most certainly. Will they want justice for it? Oh, most certainly. But the energy will be at such a stage that they will either be receptive to take anything that is given to them, which is not always a good thing, or they will learn to live just all by themselves without any resources given to them. That's where you will see a bit of a split for a short period of time. Those who feel they're entitled because they were victimized by those people, and those that go, no, we are at such a high soul state, we don't need them. This is actually a divide, like I said, you will see for a short period of time, and then those that pass to a different timeline will do so. This is actually a natural progression. We're not saying don't want justice. We're not saying accept bullying. But in the times that people have risen against them violently, it has actually failed. If they were in a weakened state, we would say, go for it. Even though we're not fans of violence. We're more fans of humor and laughter. But in a situation like this, where they have a certain level of technology, and they have probes everywhere. Just to know, orbital probes, and also probes around your electrical boxes, electrical transformers. People have spotted these from time to time because the energy makes them visible, the magnetic fields make them visible. They have these everywhere. You always wonder why the men in black show up, and you've only thought of something? Probes. And also telepathic contact. And then some of these probes are miniature spaceships as well. Some people have attributed these to soul families and guides. No. These are anything but. Your true soul family do not do things such as these. Yes, they may gain codexes out of what you have been going through and learning from things, as we have stated before. But when you see these things happening, there's nothing magical about it. It's basically a big eyeball watching you and listening, and a big ear listening. We're not saying be paranoid about this. Eventually you will reach an energy stage where none of those things matter. Just know you are not going crazy by seeing these things and hearing these things in the middle of the night.
Well, I don't actually know what more to say. I certainly do encourage that. Again, I feel you're right, temporarily feel okay with being lean, temporarily just be okay with a more simplistic life. If you have more time on your hand, remember what it feels like to be able to just relax, because people are having to also decompress from always being in a state of high adrenaline use, and people no longer know how to relax. There used to be a day where people would actually feel like they had a great afternoon when they went out in their backyard and laid in their hammock, and if they fell asleep and took a nap for a little bit, that was great. But that now seems like pure and utter boredom and completely unacceptable now, when actually there's a lot of healing and growth that happens when you can have those moments like that. But people can't even remember the benefits of a simplicity. And right now, I think that's part of the challenge. It's like decompressing from all of the energies and all of the internal, like I said, epinephrine and other neurotransmitters that are so screwed up in your body that actually decompressing from it all is a healing versus what you would interpret as a boring day that was, something you didn't get anything accomplished. Well, you did, you just don't recognize what you accomplished.
What you recognize as accomplishments are usually either physical or mental tasks. This is actually only half correct. As you were saying, decompression is one of the biggest tasks of them all. You judge it as far as getting physical or mental deeds done or work done during the day. Yes, that is an accomplishment. We are not denigrating that. But decompression is also equally as important because of the meditative factor there. You actually regain strength and energetics from doing that. Now, is there another side to this mirror involved with that? Yes. Is a discombobulating sort of boring day also associated with a form of control? Yes. But the greater one is regaining your energy, so therefore that control no longer controls you. Now, are there days where they are purposefully quiet because somebody is trying to discombobulate you so you do not actually get a certain task done that could oppose them in some way? Yes. And that does indeed happen. This is another splinter off of the whole relaxation thing, but what you are saying is the majority.
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, it all happens, but it's very, very, very difficult for people. And and I think it's an interesting thing as well because people then somehow it gets focused on that I'm alone. And, that, it just gets all distorted. Something that's meant to be there for healing just gets all distorted these days and anyway. And so if I heard you correctly, there is an actual benefit now into again, not that it's right, not that people aren't owed, not that there aren't, it doesn't matter, but there is a benefit right now to not giving any traction to anyone, to have something to pull on, because you can be perfectly fine with a simplicity. And, you don't have to have the grandiose now. And you can accept that you're winning because you're constantly moving ahead versus you're winning because you've had what's been taken from you replaced. The difference between the two. And so it's hard and it's difficult. And I don't know, again, we've shared our experience. Maybe to give people a clue about when they wake up in the morning and they're not feeling refreshed and they've had these weird dreams, because it's going to happen. So I don't know if you have, Isaac, some helpful words of wisdom, because I'm not sitting here. I'm not one that likes to talk openly about tons of my experiences. I like to talk about scenarios. I like to talk about what I consider strategies and things so that people can become more, aware, and they can take charge more in a better way. So I always want to try to leave this on a positive note. So for people that think they may be experiencing this, what are some words of wisdom for healing and for empowerment?
If you are experiencing this, as we've said, don't tolerate bullying, either in the physicality or the energetics, which means you have to plant your flag firmly in the ground. This is your sovereign territory. This is not allowed. But if you are confronted with a military unit, we are not saying violently oppose unless it is a most applicable thing to keep you alive. Otherwise, as I said to him, roll with it, do not pick a fight, but we are not saying accept. We are not saying take it into yourself. You are not consenting, and some of these beings do not care if you are consenting. On that note, on an energetic level, once you get to a particular stage, things like this will not matter, and you will be generating the appropriate codexes to make sure that it gets noticed all over your planet. If you're experiencing it, 1,000 other people are as well. You are not alone in this. Also, being able to step back from the adrenaline rush and put yourself in a meditative state gives you a stance more power than they do. Think about strategic battle for a minute. Always the high ground wins. Think of it that way. If you are constantly battling with them in the gullies, the valleys, and the canyons, you are not standing up on the edge watching them. You are down in the war with them, or in the battlefield with them. Take the high ground. Take the high road, because they will never take the high road unless they have an open heart space and an open soul like the individual we've spoken about. With that said, this is all there is to it. You evolve yourself, get rid of the things that do not serve, and that will include them. They will drift away into the background, even though they are to the last breath. They will see you as a waste of their time after a while. Does this mean again that you'll regain what they've stolen? I don't know, unless you co-create it as such. We're not saying focus on it. We're saying co-created it, and if it is for your highest good, if that's what your soul wishes, then you'll have that returned to you, whichever it is that is stolen. Now, on a slightly humorous note, you were referring to the explosion earlier. Let's just say, if you put a fork in a microwave, it tends to make the microwave spark and explode. They have stuck a fork in the microwave way too many times, and this time they got it back in their face. We are not saying that we did it. They did it and brought it on themselves. And this has actually happened in numerous scenarios where there's been mysterious explosions and some rumbling underground. They've either started battles with people that they had no business doing, tried to usurp territory they had no business usurping, or fired on something they shouldn't have, or experimented with something interdimensional or some kind of technology that they are trying to either duplicate, replicate, or use or sell in some fashion, and then they barely comprehend how it works. They turn it on and it blows up in their face. This is pretty much sticking a fork in the microwave. And they have done this far too often. They have also stuck a fork in the light socket far too often and have caused power outages in different parts of your planet. Also in their method of control in that way too. You know what I'm referring. But in the case of the explosion, fork in microwave. This is essentially what they've done. And you may hear nothing on the news. You may even hear a small amount. This will be a clue that it was them. If it is something that is swept under the rug, but still given some kind of prominence in maybe a small area, this is something of great importance. Pay attention to it. This is them basically shooting themselves in the foot. Thank you, everyone. Ooh. The light is very strange out here today. It's like
It's like you have cataracts on and you just can't quite see everything as clear.
yeah. It's like a color cataract type of thing. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Everything's like a little dulled.
Yeah, a little dulled. And that's also something you'll know if something has happened by if that is taking place. And I've heard this scenario from many people. It's not just us, where everything is just dulled. The senses are dulled. You're in a discombobulated state. And that is normal. It's also normal to be angry about what they've done. Don't think that you're not supposed to feel these things because it's not like high energy. Bull crap. You're supposed to feel it and get through it. The neutral states that people think you're supposed to be in have to be earned. You have to go through all of this and see all of this. That is if the soul is wishing to experience it. And with that said, I think we've said enough on this subject today. This will be joined with the video from yesterday, since it is the same one. It won't be a separate video. It'll be the same one. If any more details come on this, if we see a link to something about, say, that explosion or something like that, I will put it underneath the video. And this is a Patreon video. I know there isn't a whole lot of people on there right now, and this doesn't get seen by a whole lot.
But it's grounded into the
But it's
occasion.
grounded into the
So that
occasion.
was my whole thing this morning, was that I wanted the entire event so grounded into the Akashic, because I do think sometimes there are people that wonder about us.
Yes.
And they wonder, about our experiences or whatever, and I want them to see these in full color.
Yes.
So, I mean, and again, so that, it's made available in its entirety through the Akashic so that people can see, if they don't believe that other people are being put through certain experiences, that they can actually, if they're able to read it, they can see it.
Yes, these events, always go into the cache, but just to be on the safe side, you always hear me say now this information is now grounded into the benevolent earthly cache and the benevolent galactic caches as of this moment in time. It is mirrored across time and space where appropriate is forever so in all moments, all sessions. You hear me say that, and you hear Vikings say it is now grounded into the unity consciousness of humanity or some variation thereof. Same difference, and it goes into the earthly hard drive pretty much. And is made available to everyone. Even though this is a Patreon broadcast, and there's roughly 30 people on there at the moment, it's still, whether it was on YouTube or this, it still goes into the earthly and galactic caches all the same. So with that said, I believe we can cap this off now. So thank you everybody for listening to this. These are our experiences that happen. We try not to hold anything back. There is some information we do on some occasions because we don't believe it would serve people to know it. But in this case, it does serve people to know at least this. So thank you everybody.